Welcome back to the One-Up Nitro National Series in 2024. We are at race number 14 of 25, getting close to the end of the regular season here, and with 23 laps to come at the New Jersey Motorsports Park Thunderbolt circuit. There's a lot on the line for a lot of drivers looking to break their way back into the top 12 after falling out of it last time out at Pocono. And just like it was at Pocono last time out, we have Ben McDonald in the booth with us once again this week. Great to have you with us. But this track at New Jersey Motorsports Park is very different from the high-speed Pocono Raceway. It's a very technical road course, relatively flat, and we brought a different package here compared to last year. Smaller fuel tanks, softer tires. That should all lead us to a two-stop race here today.
Yeah, great to be back. I can't wait for this race here at New Jersey. It is going to be a fantastic race, especially on a road course. Really shows who has some good driver talent, who can work these road courses, especially for a flat one, so you got to manage your tires pretty well. The two-stop strategy is going to play a huge factor in this race. More room for error, so let's see who can actually get it done.
Absolutely, and considering this is the second to last road course race of the season and the last of the regular season, this is the last chance for some of our road course specialists to show what they've got before the playoffs get underway in a few weeks. As we can now bring you the starting lineup for today's 23 laps of racing action. Bronson Minnick gets his second pole of the season. His first also of the year also came at a road course. I believe that was at Circuit of the Americas. He lines up alongside James Ellison, who won the pole at the Indianapolis road course a couple weeks ago. Henry Thomas, Logan Williams, and Nagatsugu Kanalka ran out the top five, and just outside the top five in sixth place, Cameron Brennan, who won our last road course race at Indianapolis. There's a lot of talent stacked towards the front of the field, but there's also a couple of guys in the midfield who really need to make some ground up.
Yeah, last race winner, number 3 of Earl Sear, starting 15th. Going to be interesting to see how he can improve upon his great finish last week, especially on a road course, which is completely different from what Pocono was.
Considering, of course, that Earl Sear won at Provo earlier this season on a road course, this should bode well for him. Cody Goforth, the points leader going into today, he starts 17th, and he won this race last year, so he's got a little work to do, and a handful of others as well. But with that being said, we have 23 laps of racing to come at New Jersey. The whole field is ready to go. We've got 42 cars ready to rock and roll here in the Thunderbolt circuit, and we're ready to bring you that action now. This is the One-Up Nitro National Series from the New Jersey Motorsports Park, and we're getting ready to bring you the green flag, which is coming out in just a short while. Getting set for some great racing action here at the Thunderbolt. Minnick and Ellison on the front row, getting ready to lead us to the green flag, which is now moments away from being dropped on the field. There it is. We're underway at New Jersey Motorsports Park. It's pretty even at the front of the field. Ellison actually may have gotten the better launch off the line of the top two as they dive it off into this first relatively fast corner, and we won't see a real braking zone on the lap till we're about halfway through it at turn 5.
Yeah, a bunch of right-hand turns going into the first part of this lap, so this will be interesting to see how well Ellison can hold it on the outside, and he makes a hard charge, gets a huge run out of the outside.
Exactly like we saw last year with Cody Goforth. Minnick now loses 2 spots in that one corner. He falls behind Logan Williams in the 83. This is exactly like we saw at that turn last year on the opening lap with Henry Thomas on pole, and he fell back just like Minnick did. So now it's James Ellison leading the way, with Logan Williams second, Bronson Minnick third, Brennan and Thomas complete the top 5.
Yeah, very spread out at the front of the field right now. Obviously still a bunch of battles behind, but as we get further on, it is going to single file out as we currently see the back end of the field. But going back to the front, the 31 taking a bit of a commanding lead so far, a bit of car length between him and the 83.
So, and this is what Ellison was unable to do at Indianapolis. Break away at the opening lap and lead it. He started on pole that day. He wasn't able to lead the opening lap, but this time, from the outside pole, he leads lap 1. So Ellison takes a pretty healthy lead at the Thunderbolt. He has about a half-second lead over Logan Williams, but that 83 is looking to rebound after a rough day at Pocono. He's hoping to claw some points back, especially considering some of his main challengers in the points, Goforth and Shearer, both started outside the top 15 today.
Yeah, great point there, especially with the 12 and the 83 also being up in the top 5. Who knows how the points are going to shape up, but obviously still really early on into this race, and 2 possible pit stops to be had during this race, as we currently see everybody go through the first bit of corners here today. It is going to be interesting to see how everybody fares out, who's going to have the best pit stop, who's going to be able to keep up and possibly make an adjustment that could get them up to the front and win this race.
Going down now into turn 7 and 8. This is the more flat part of the racetrack here. James Ellison has a solid lead ahead of Logan Williams. Pole sitter Minnick in third, about a second off the lead, and he wants to claw this ground back up. This is exactly what happened to him at Coda earlier this year. He started on pole, was in the wrong lane at the start. He fell back and ultimately did not win that race that day. But as they make their way through turn 12 to complete lap number 2, let's see if Ellison's lead grows or shrinks at the stripe. Across the line they go, and relatively stays the same. Only lost a couple hundredths on that lap.
Yeah, this racetrack being very interesting, as there's not really much elevation or banking in these corners, so tires are going to mean a lot, especially on those long sweeping turns as we saw in 7 and 8. It is going to be very interesting to see how people actually use that to their advantage and hopefully get a nice arc out of the corner, hopefully gain some speed, but they're also maybe paying the price of tire life.
And remember, the fuel window here and the tire window relatively about the same, and we expect these guys to make it about maybe 8 to 10 laps on this run before they have to come in and put on some fresh tires, get a full tank of fuel again. But we're looking now at Bronson Minnick. He started on pole. Could this be the second race running on a road course that he starts on pole, does not lead the opening lap, and ultimately does not win this race? We're very early in this race. We still have 21 laps to go, but at this point, he's got to be thinking about going on the offense, especially considering all the points that are up there up for grabs.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see going into turns 1 and 2 that Minnick didn't want to challenge go too fast for the lead, especially with Ellison on his outside, obviously misjudging the speed that Ellison would carry through the corner. So it is going to be interesting to see how he can claw back all that time that he's lost, especially losing both first and second position, being back in third.
Well, I don't think he was even able to defend very well, because he got pinched onto the curb in turn 3. Watch, as they come up to the corner right about here, he got onto that curb, and that takes away all your momentum getting down this, what we consider the back straight here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. There's not a lot of straight on this track, to be honest, but that's where Minnick lost pretty much all of his track position, and that's why he runs third currently. We look back now at the 4th position. That's where Cameron Brennan is running. He has had a phenomenal season on the road courses. He has, I believe, 3 top 10s on that track type this season, including a win, of course, at Indianapolis. But his oval performances have left a bit to be desired, and we only have one more road course after this for the entire season. He's got to step up his game on those ovals if he wants to make a run, maybe to get to the top 30 in points.
Yeah, it's definitely very crucial to be outperforming everybody on every single type of racetrack, but if you have a specialty in one track type, especially a road course, it can mean you a lot and hopefully gain you tons of position in the point standings.
I believe Brennan entered today 36th in the points, and he really wants to get up to that top 30 to lock himself in for potentially next season when he goes full-time for the entire season. This is Henry Thomas in 5th place. He entered today 10 points out of the lead, and as they run right now, he would inherit the points lead from Cody Goforth and Kev Shearer, who entered today 1-2 in the points, but they're running quite a ways behind. So if this race were to end as it runs now with Thomas in 5th place, he would leave today leading the points.
Yeah, that'd be huge confidence for the 12 team, especially not having a win this year. Definitely going to help them out if they can keep the regular season championship, as that has a lot of bonus points and a lot of momentum towards the playoffs.
Meanwhile, we're looking back here at Nick Breeding. He only has 1 top 10 on the season, and that was his win at Martinsville earlier this year. He needs to step up his consistency if he wants to make a challenge for the playoffs. And Jensen Nomina back here in 7th. Man, did he come close to a win at Pocono last time out, but was in the wrong place at the wrong time, fell back as Kanauka ran quite wide through turn 9. That's going to cost the 7 driver a little bit of time as they head through turn 10.
Yeah, that Pocono race was fantastic for the 62. Very unfortunate not being able to cap off the win, but it definitely will show the speed of that 62 team, as their momentum is going to continue to get way faster and faster, as we currently look at the 92, who is also up at the front at that Pocono race, but with circumstances, he fell a little bit further back.
And remember, Ryan Griffin's still not a fan of these road courses, even though the last one we were on, he brought it home on the podium in 3rd place. But he still doesn't like these road courses. Thankfully for him, all but one race the rest of the season are on ovals, which he much prefers. But he's doing a good job at this road course. He's in 9th. He started this race back in 12th, so he's gained a couple places there. As we make our way back here, Nikki Martinez also making a good charge at it. She started back in 14th, currently running 10th, just ahead of Braden Varga in the 0.
Yeah, all these guys and gals doing a really good job holding their pace for right now, getting a set feel for how the track is driving, especially as we are starting to log down laps, more people doing what they can, as we currently see the 60 car of Mike Edwards out of the race with a piston issue.
Yeah, that's a tough break for that 60 team. They only have one top 10 this season, and that was their win at Las Vegas. So Mike Edwards was hoping for better at this race, but he is our first retiree with an engine failure around lap number 6, as we have another one with a blown engine and pulling out of the race. It's the 42 of David Meske, so make that 2 engine failures in 2 laps.
Yeah, that's a very interesting trend so far, especially as we're getting close to the pit window. Wondering if people are just overheating their engines or if it's just simply just a mechanical problem.
This track isn't really known to be a car killer, New Jersey Motorsports Park. Most of the time, this race has relatively few retirements. Granted, this is only our 2nd time here, but this is a bit odd to see so many cars fall out this early on. But we're hoping that those are the only 2 cars to fall out of this race, because we want to see as many cross the finish line as possible. And James Ellison so far has done a fantastic job of controlling this race. He's led all 6 laps so far, but he's got Logan Williams hot on his tail trying to get the position away.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, especially for those 2 who needed a good points day, or at least try to finish the race and get their merits up. But as we currently see at the front of the field, it is only going to get closer and closer, as the 31, 83, and 32 are all right there, nose to tail.
They make their way onto the bridge to complete the lap. And let's see what the gap is now between Ellison and Williams. Across the stripe they go. Williams lost a little bit of time there out of the final corner, and therefore he only gained 1/100th of a second over the whole lap. But you can see the 83 is right there, and he's just waiting for the right opportunity to make a move, but he did go a little wide through turn 2.
Yeah, just really close behind the 31, maybe just misjudged the corner. That happens a lot of the times, more than you could think, especially being a race car driver. You're just hopefully kind of relying on the guy in front of you to hopefully be in the same line, but sometimes it can also lead you to a mistake.
But so far, we haven't seen any mistakes from the front few cars. James Ellison has been up front for all 7 laps so far, and this is a run he really needs after his last place finish at Pocono due to an engine failure. He fell all the way down to 14th in the points, which is not good for him. He wants to get into these playoffs before he moves up to the Superstar Series next year. So he wants to make these playoffs, and a win here today, which would be the first of his career, would go a very long way to make that happen.
Yeah, that definitely will bump them up in the championship standings and also just keep their momentum going through the rest of the season, as anybody in this series would love to have a great finish and even a win. So it definitely plays a big part in whether or not you can actually get a win here and show that you can be in here and possibly move up to the SSS hopefully later on.
And consider as well, James Ellison has 2 truck wins to his name, including the first ever Turbo Truck Series race back in 2022. But those were fairly opportunistic wins, one of which came on a super speedway. The other one came at a short track where passing was near impossible. So very different scenario here, as Kanalka faces the same issue that Minnick faced on lap 1, and the 7 driver is going to lose 2 spots here, one to Nomina, one to Ryan Griffin.
Yeah, that outside line going through the turn 3 is such a crucial line to have, especially if you can get somebody below you and just slow them up, as it is very hard to make that tight radius corner. Definitely shows that you definitely need to keep up your speed throughout this racetrack, especially on this the high-speed corners. As we currently go through a very slow section, it is still important to keep your speed up because you do not want to get away, especially for the 83 and 32. Let the 31 get out front too far.
But so far, they've done a good job at keeping the 31 honest, keeping him close, as it looks like pit stops now the order today. Ellison pits, Williams stays out, so does Bronson Minnick, but Ellison leaves Brennan, Thomas, Nick Breeding, and a host of others into the pit lane. It looks like a split strategy here as we start lap number 10.
Yeah, I like the undercut strategy here. Get the pit stop done and then hopefully get back to speed as quick as you can. Obviously, it is going to be a very split decision between the field. Nobody can make it from here to the end of the race, so no matter what, you're going to have one more pit stop after this. But it'll be interesting to see how everybody blends out, see if the 83 can gain a bunch of time just having the fresh air, especially with the 32 right behind him. It'll be interesting to see how Ellison does on his pit stop and hopefully blend out in the lead again.
And you can see based on the pit stops, Ellison already well on his way. Henry Thomas, though, looks like he had a slow stop. He comes out side by side with Eric Monaco in the 44. So, tough break for the 12 team, but they should still cycle out in the top 10 when this is all said and done. But here is Logan Williams now, making his way through turn 9, making his way around 9 now, and before making the left-hand lock towards turn 10. He should be into the pits this time by. You can't be too far behind those who undercut you.
Yeah, especially on a racetrack that is very just flat and tires mean so much here. You do not want to give anybody any advantages. We currently see the leaders now come down pit road.
So Williams pits, Minnick pits, and let's see if anyone... Yeah, Martinez, Varga, Ryan Reed, I assume, will also pit. These guys couldn't have been too far behind at the rate they were going. Cody Goforth pits. He was the points leader, staying out a little extra, trying to make something happen here. But as the rest of the field pretty much makes their way down pit road here. Now, here's James Ellison making his way out of turn 11, and he'll at least have a fighting chance with Logan Williams. I'm curious to see, though, where he comes out in all this.
Yeah, it'll be definitely interesting. As he enters turn 1 here at the 83, coming out of pit road, he is going to be able to get past him for now.
Yeah, but remember,
is up to speed.
Remember, Williams has cold tires on, fresh tires. Ellison's had his warmed up already, so I wouldn't be surprised if Ellison does make a little bit of a charge here on the 83, perhaps into turn 4 or 5, because Ellison is closing in on the 83 at a big rate of speed. Here he comes down the inside at turn 5.
Side by side, going through turn 5, coming to turn 6. The 83 currently has the advantage going into the corner, but the 31 just powers right onto the outside. That's
the benefit of having having tires up to temperature here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. So Ellison takes the lead back from Logan Williams. Now Cameron Brennan runs in 3rd place, ahead of 4th place, which I believe, we'll take a look, is now Braden Varga in the 0. Bronson Minnick falls back to 5th in the running order. But look at the lead Ellison's able to pull on Logan Williams. It just goes to show how strong that undercut really is.
Yeah, that adjustment really worked out for him. If he made any on pit road, that 86 doing a really good job making up all that track position to get to the 83 and to hopefully have a chance to get by him and hopefully challenge that 31.
All but Brennan does go quite a bit wide through turn 1, and that's going to cost him a little bit of time to the 83. But if Cameron Brennan is able to score back-to-back road course wins, that would be huge for Sanders Performance Autosport in their bid to make the top 30 in owners' points. So he's running 3rd now, which is a solid 40 points in the bank, but he wants those extra 10, 11 points you get by winning this race. So, as it looks like we've had a couple guys with slow pit stops. Austin Scott is making a return trip even. And we're hearing word something is... It's not a matter of a tire going down for the 16. They must have noticed something under the hood they did not like.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, especially for a very not-so-good performance at Pocono, as we saw him in the later half of the race, just being right in front of the leaders, but also multiple laps down.
And look at Kanalka in the 7. They were running top 10 earlier. They're now deep in the field, as is Earl Sear, who won at Pocono. So a lot of guys having some slow pit stops here, but that's going to benefit a lot of people who jumped them on the cycle and are probably going to have some pretty decent days now.
Yeah, it shows how important that pit stops are, especially just by getting off pit road. As we saw, 31 was able to do so and be able to stay up with the 83, and then was able to pass him, as well as the 86, who wasn't even in the top 3 at the beginning of this race, but we currently see him now battling with the 83. So it shows you how crucial that first pit stop was and how crucial the second pit stop will become.
It's going to be very interesting to see who makes that final pit stop first and when they make it, because the window honestly will be open next time around to make that final pit stop, but you don't want to do it too early, I would think, because you'd be facing very worn tires at the very end of this race.
Yeah, just by sheer luck, you can come down pit road now and hopefully make up the tire advantage before everybody else comes down, but there's such a high risk versus reward when that happens. So you would think a bunch of the guys in the top 10, like Ellison and the 83, they would probably go as long as they can on fuel and tires just to hopefully stay on their strategy, hopefully maybe even getting a shorter pit stop as well, because at the end of the fuel stint, there will only be like 2 or 3 more laps left in this race. So it would be interesting to see how everybody takes a approach to these next upcoming pit stops.
The problem though is, and I've seen this in other races before, if you pit with 3 or 4 laps to go on a road course and you don't take tires to try and shorten the pit stop, you're going to be a sitting duck to everyone who does, even if you have a massive lead by the end of it. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but you're going to be asking a lot from your race car, from your tires, a lot of it. But as we see down, Tegan Fox had a pretty slow stop, or maybe has already been in for a second stop, but they're about to go a lap down here to James Ellison and Logan Williams, who currently run 1-2.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see who is going to be going on pit road early and trying to do a different strategy than the leaders, but who knows if that's going to work out in the long haul, especially for drivers like Tegan Fox now being right next to the leader. Definitely don't want to go a lap down, especially if a possible caution could come out, or just simply just getting trapped behind the leaders and just losing all your momentum.
And remember, with 1UP's road course rules, we don't serve full course cautions here. We can have local yellows if there's a severe enough accident, but we don't want to slow down the race too much. So everybody knows these rules going in. As Ellison is the first one in, he's coming to 9 laps to go.
That is a very interesting strategy just to get the pit stop out of the way. Obviously, that 31 team knows something that we don't.
And he only had 6 laps on those 5 or 6 laps on those tires, so this is a very bold call. But he's not the only one. Cody Goforth comes in, Ryan Griffin, Nick Breeding, Jensen Nomina, they're all coming into the pits early. So I'm very curious to see how this plays out. And these guys who stayed out an extra lap, they now have to react.
I feel like the 83 is a little bit stunned that happens so early, especially for them being on a longer run and a longer stint that first pit stop. So just seeing them coming in quicker and quicker, it's definitely going to raise a question on the 83 pit box on whether or not they should pit now or just continue to go further on.
And if they do continue further on, and when do they come make that last pit stop, and what do they do on that pit stop? If they wait it out, Ellison's definitely going to jump them. But we've seen in other races that cars can chase each other down with a tire advantage, so that's not going to be a problem. It's just a matter of where can you make a pass if that's the case. But we're making our way through turn 11 right now, and it looks like Williams and Brennan are making that trip to pit road now.
Yeah, smart move to stay on the same strategy as the leader. But it'll be interesting to see who further on back is going to take the leap of faith and just try to go as long as they can, hopefully getting a shorter pit stop. Probably we'll see that with people in the late 20s or maybe even in the teens possibly doing that. But it is only going to be a big risk versus reward for those back there to hopefully try to gain some position and some points.
Looking actually right now, and I believe we've got one who's either already made his second pit stop or hasn't yet. that is that 77 car of Nathan Meyer. He is going to be probably about 15 seconds ahead of James Ellison. So I'm curious, has that 77 made his second stop yet, or has he not? That's going to be very... Yeah, because look, he's... Oh, and here's the pit exit. We got so much to talk about. Williams did get ahead of Ellison again, but is he going to be pinched down in turn 3 once again?
It's going to be close, and it will happen again. The 31 doing what he did on lap 1 and many other laps before, using that preferred groove on the outside to get the lead.
And not just that, but he brought Nicky Martinez in the 47 with him. So Martinez is going to be in that third in this race. Ellison will be second, but Nathan Meyer in this 77 has either pulled a masterclass strategy out of himself, or he just needs to make his final pit stop. Either way, he is going to be the leader of this race by about a quarter of a lap.
Yeah, it's definitely shaking things up, making a lot of these teams question whether or not that was the right strategy call to come in so early. But who knows, as they stay out once again.
So this 77, he has to be trying something different. He wants, I think, okay, we're getting word now he has not made his final pit stop yet. He must be going for a tire offset to try and boost himself up the order, because he was running in the 30s before this cycle started. So what he's going to do is he is going to stay out as long as he can, pit as late as he can, try and claw his way back up the field as much as he can on fresh tires.
Yeah, a very bold but interesting move from the 77. We don't really see that from anybody else in this field. So doing what they can to hopefully make up some position, as this race is only going to get shorter and shorter.
And not only that, he picks up some bonus points for leading the lap. So it's got plenty of benefits for the 77 by doing this. But back now, Nicky Martinez all over the back bumper of James Ellison. We haven't mentioned the 47 much today. Martinez started, of course, back in 14th. Ellison started second, but now these two, once the 77 pits, are going to be the main contenders for the win today.
Yeah, that 47 doing a masterclass job on pit road, getting in and out of the pit box. Pit crew did a fantastic job getting them in this position to even fight for the win. So doing a really good job for the 47. Great showing for them, as we currently see the 77 finally making it down pit road. Wondering if this will do a very good advantage for them, or will this only just delay their possibility of getting any good points today.
Well, anything, they're looking for a net gain on that 77, and they entered the pits in about 31st. So if they can finish higher than that at the end of the day, it'll be a positive for them. And I commend them for doing it something different, because they were not going to win this race following the leaders in, and they weren't even probably going to get a good finish by doing that either. So kudos to them for trying something different, as Ellison's lead over Martinez now 0.8 of a second.
Yeah, as we are currently seeing that 31 just get back into its rhythm, as we saw in the previous two stints. It only raises a question whether or not the 83 has anything for the 47 and to hopefully get up to the 31, or will it be too late and the 31 just gets out in front and just wins this thing.
And remember, both Ellison and Williams in the 31 and 83 respectively, they're making the jump to the Superstar Series next year. So there's a lot on the line for these guys. Williams, of course, won at Trois Rivières earlier this season. Ellison does not have a Nitro National win to his name. So pulling one off here on the road course at New Jersey Motorsports Park would be huge for Crossroads Racing, especially with their eye to the future like they are now.
Yeah, definitely having the news to go up to the top series is definitely enlightening for these guys, but just to have some proof that you are worthy of going up there by getting a race win means so much more, especially for some of these teams like Crossroads Racing, just being able to show like, hey, we can actually win races, and we are here to win races every single week. So 31 doing a fantastic job today, leading almost every single lap so far, but time will tell for the future of this team and whether or not Ellison will be a playoff contender in the NNS or even in SSS when he does move up.
Quick update on Nathan Meyer. He did make his pit stop, and he has cycled back out in 24th place. That's already a net gain for that team. We'll see how far up the field he can get in the latter stages of this race. But back to what you were saying about James Ellison. You need only look to the Superstar race at Pocono. Their car there, with Rhodes Gray driving, they finished 9th in that race, which is a series best for Crossroads Racing. They have got a lot of forward momentum going, and they've got a lot of good drivers in their program. They've got Alexa Luchon driving for them next season. They've got Jacob Buchholz, who's going to drive in the Nitro National Series next year for them. Stanley Andrews, Ryan Caggiano, he's a former Nitro National champion. A lot of good from Crossroads Racing. And now they're only about 4 laps away from their first win in the Nitro National Series.
As second place battle between Nicky Martinez and the 83 heating up, this is only going to get more interesting, especially just trying to do what they can to get as much points as possible and hopefully continue to be on the podium. Definitely don't want to wreck each other for any position, as this race is only going to get more and more interesting up here at the front.
And the thing about this is, they're losing time to the 31. 2 laps ago, the gap was 0.8 of a second. Now it's 1.8. So these guys have got to get their act together. Maybe Martinez needs to let the 83 by and see what he can do in the final 3 laps. But Williams is going to have to step on it if he's going to have any hope of catching James Ellison at this rate. He's 2 seconds off the lead, and that is not easy to make up in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, especially on a road course where speed means so much, and the time on road courses do get spread out way more than they do on an oval, as we currently see. Even drivers outside of the top 10 are 10 seconds, 11 seconds outside of the leader's range. So it definitely shows that time on a road course is very valuable, and just to be able to have the opportunity to battle somebody for a position is very costly and could possibly mean more loss of time, especially to the leader.
Absolutely, but we are now at 3 laps of racing to go for James Ellison, who his lead has grown to 2.1 seconds. He is just driving off into the sunset, and the battle is starting to become over who's going to get second place between Nicky Martinez and Logan Williams. And like you said earlier, if these two have it coming together near the end of this race, that opens the door for Cameron Brennan to get up into the runners-up spot, or even Nick Breeding behind him. So it's not over yet, but these guys have got to keep it clean if they want to stay on the podium.
Yeah, especially if they want to keep a good point stay. They definitely don't want to get into each other and hopefully not ruin their good point stay. So it'll be interesting to see how much aggression we will see out of the 83, especially trying to chase down the 47, and what kind of blocking maneuvers the 47 will do to hopefully keep on and keep that second place position.
Because remember, second place is worth 5 points more than third place, so that's what they're racing for right now. As we can report now, Skylar Taylor out of the race with a tire that wrapped itself around the suspension. That's what ruined their day, as we got a whole host of cars with issues on pit road, including our points leader going into the day, Cody Goforth in the 01.
Yeah, that's a very interesting thing to happen, especially so late in the race, as we're going to be catching 2 to go left in this race. I wonder if people didn't fill up all the way.
We're hearing we're hearing it is a fuel issue for Goforth, but not the kind you're thinking of. He was losing fuel pressure in that car. He had a leak in his fuel line. They had to patch that up, and it's a good thing they did. Otherwise, he would have been out of this race, but he is most definitely going to lose the points lead after this race now.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Goforth, especially for how well they've been running all day, just trying to do what they can to not let anybody devour up his points lead. But now they have to do whatever they can to hopefully minimize the damage and hopefully just continue on for the rest of this race.
We're coming to the white flag this time. Cody Goforth's definitely going to lose the points lead. The question is, how far back will he fall? He could fall as far back as like 4th or 5th in the points at this rate. But he's still solidly in a playoff spot, but boy, would he have wanted that regular season championship to go with it. This is going to do some big damage to that Fair & Co Racing team for that, especially with his other teammates, Ryan Arnold and Skylar Taylor, both having issues of their own today. But we're coming to the white flag this time, and for James Ellison, this is going to be music to his ears hearing his spotter say, "One more time around."
Yeah, that 31 doing a stellar job, currently out to almost a 3-second lead so far. We'll see how far away it is crossing the line. 3.2 seconds back to Nicky Martinez in the 47 and the 83, as there's a 3-car battle for second place here, as the 86 is just catching them.
but it's all happening behind James Ellison, and this is going to be a big day for him. I'm sure he would have wanted this win to come a few weeks ago at his home track at Indianapolis. Circumstances prevented that from happening. A spin got beat off the line. A lot of things happened that day to push him all the way back to 9th place at the end. But James Ellison's driven a faultless race today. He'll have led all but 6 laps today, and he will have fully deserved this win if he can make it back.
Yeah, doing a fantastic job just trying to make it all the way to the end here. Doesn't have to put too much pressure. Doesn't have to overdrive the corners, as there is nobody behind him at all. He can just take his time getting through the last few corners, enjoying this last few moments on this fantastic racing circuit.
So for James Ellison, his Nitro National career has had some ups and downs. He finished last at Pocono with an engine failure. That dropped him out of the top 12. I don't think that's on his mind at all right now, because he makes his way through turn 12 for the final time. And for the very first time in one-up Nitro National competition, James Ellison gets the checkered flag first, and he will win at New Jersey Motorsports Park. First career win, like I said. Excellent driving from the 31 team. This will definitely put them back in the top 12 at the end of the day. And for Nicky Martinez as well, second place, best result of the season by a long way. This is going to help the 47 cement themselves in the top 30 in owners' points. As is the case for Cameron Brennan, who finished 4th. That'll help him up the top, towards the top 30. Logan Williams brings it home 3rd. That should help him close up on the points lead. He won't be leading the points, but he'll be close to it. As Nick Breeding in the 76, he gets his first top 10 other than his Martinsville win of the season. He comes home 5th. Braden Varga, 6th place, another top 10 for him. His momentum, it keeps building. Jensen Omana backs up another solid run with a 7th place finish. Bronson Minnick, the pole sitter, didn't quite have it today, fell to 8th. Ryan Griffin, another road course top 10 at 9th. And Henry Thomas brings it home in the top 10. He will be the points leader at the end of the day, just finishing ahead of Eric Monaco in the 44. But this is a day we knew was coming ever since we saw the uptick in form from Crossroads Racing this season. And I'm sure James Ellison is wanting to stay on this victory lap for as long as he possibly can.
Yeah, they are definitely going to be celebrating at Cracker Barrel tonight. That 31 was bad fast and doing a fantastic job at it, being one of the dominant cars of today's race.
Absolutely. This 31 has been so close to wins before, but this is their day in New Jersey Motorsports Park. And what a great race we had. We only had 3 retirees, despite all the issues today. Skylar Taylor, David Meskey, and Mike Edwards. But for James Ellison, this is a fantastic day. And this is one he'll remember for a long time, because this is his first win that he actually feels that he actually had the race for. Because his first win was on a super speedway and the truck series. That's a toss-up any day. His second win on a short track where passing was near impossible. He kind of got handed that one based on the inversion that day. But this one, he really raced for it, and that's the way you really want to win these.
Yeah, especially on a road course. It is so tough, especially for one like this where it's flat and anything could go wrong, as we saw many people had some mistakes and some unfortunate circumstances throughout the day. It is only a true testament to the 31 team of James Ellison to pull off a win and show that they are here to compete and here to win.
That is for sure, and what a way to sign off from New Jersey Motorsports Park this year. So, from Ben McDonnell and from myself as well, we say goodbye from the New Jersey Motorsports Park. We'll see you again next week at Darlington Raceway for Throwback Weekend for the Nitro National Series. That is always a good time for the One-Up Nitro National Series. We will see you again at Darlington for that race with some new schemes, some new drivers, but the same goal, getting to victory lane. But until that happens, so long from New Jersey Motorsports Park. Congratulations to James Ellison. After a long time of struggles in the Nitro National Series, he finally gets to stand on top of the podium as a race winner, and no one can take that away from him now.